Is your EV lying to you? Well, that might be a little harsh, but it turns out its battery range estimates can be pretty far off.
You may have heard about the issues in the cold, but Chris Arapsky shows us why it may feel like a guessing game no matter the weather.
It's zippy. It's super smart. It has zero emissions. But there's an elephant in the room.
I have no idea how far this car can drive in the cold.
We've covered the basics of this before.
The colder it gets, or even the hotter it gets, the more it's going to be impacted.
But now we're taking it a step further with a test of our own in a Tesla Model Y, where we find out it's not just the cold that can mess with your range.
So we're gonna go to Super Target right now where there are superchargers. And we're gonna fill this thing up, and then we're gonna do some experimentation.
Here's the plan. Drive from Minnetonka to St. Cloud and back to see if the estimated driving range is anywhere near the actual thing.
We're traveling there 59 miles and back 59 miles. That would be 120 miles about. We're at 258 till empty right now. We're gonna see what that says when we get back.
On the way, we hit a winter squall, which slows us down a little bit. And in theory, slower speeds should help the battery range, but we'll see.
We've made it to St. Cloud State University. So we've traveled about 60 miles, but according to the car, we've gone about 90 miles on our battery. Let's go back.
By the time we arrived back at the supercharger in Minnetonka, we had our results.
Since we charged the vehicle up, since we left for St. Cloud State, the car consumed 191.7 miles of energy, yet we only traveled 120.
Meaning we're only getting about 62% of the miles it's telling us we can drive. We did other tests too.
Got our hands on a rental Model 3.
We tried another Tesla model and did a series of shorter tests with both vehicles. Each one came back roughly the same, getting anywhere from 57 to 63% of the miles estimated on the range. It even tells us where the car's estimated power use was off during that trip. But that does us no good after the fact.
As long as you're aware of it, you're fine.
Jukka Kokkonen is an EV owner 3 times over. He's a former engineer with Ford, who is now an EV consultant and a teacher of electric vehicles at the University of St. Thomas.
Have you heard a lot of stories of people just mismanaging the miles?
I haven't really. People learn it pretty quickly. They're like, oh, this is more of a gasometer during the winter time.
Jukka says the battery uses its own energy to keep itself warm in the winter. But that's only part of the problem. The other major factor in frigid weather, the battery's got to keep you warm.
Combustion engines are like little furnaces. They naturally produce heat, which is then used to go heat the cabin without wasting any fuel. Electric vehicles, not the same. They have to use battery power to heat a coil, which then heats the cabin. According to the U.S. Department of Energy, about 2/3 of all the extra energy consumed during the cold is used just heating the cabin.
But again, why don't EVs reflect this in the range estimate?
Anyway, do you think that Tesla hasn't done that yet? Because they'll have to admit to half the country that, yeah, in the winter our range is significantly lower.
I don't think that's the case because it's so obvious when you start driving.
Yeah.
So you can't really hide it by showing a different number here.
Yeah.
Because the driver's experiences are very clear.
I have to accelerate and brake to follow that green line as close as I can.
There's another reason why range estimates in winter don't get along.
The car needs to sit for 12 hours in this lab to be room temperature before you start.
Minnesota State University Mankato has a dyno machine that can run the exact same tests the EPA uses to calculate driving range. According to the EPA, only one of the 5 tests they can do for car manufacturers is done in cold weather, and then averaged together with the 4 other tests.
It is efficient at just moving itself. As soon as you add more, take it out of those parameters, that range falls way off.
Turns out range estimates aren't perfect in warm weather either.
All right, so knowing what we know now about how the range is calculated by the EPA, we figured, let's do a warm weather test.
120 miles to St. Cloud and back, same route, same test, this time 80 degrees. The result? Remember, the cold test was 70 miles off the estimated range. This one was still 21 miles off.
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to also talk with someone at the Tesla if they're willing to talk with you.
Do you have Elon's number?
I don't have Elon's number, no. That's a challenge.
Yeah, me neither. So we did the next best thing and tweeted him and the company looking for an answer. No, Elon Musk did not reply. Then we went traditional and emailed Tesla's press account twice and have not heard back. We also emailed Ford, Toyota, Nissan, and General Motors. Nissan was the only one to get back to us. They say it's not their fault. The EPA does these tests, and the car maker just uses its numbers. For EVs in both climates, it still remains a question. How far can you really go?
Well, we asked the EPA if it would consider mandating cold and warm climate range estimates for electric cars. They responded saying the last time the agency considered any changes, it decided the average number was most useful to consumers.
And only in Minnesota can you, in a few weeks' time, do a story where there's a ton of snow and a story on, 80-degree day.
20 below and 80 degrees. I think
able to do that
those
in
were
a couple
6 days
months.
apart, actually. Yeah, no kidding.